Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching Today I Found Out, and in the video today we're looking at Edgar Allan Poe and his quest to be court-martialed. Edgar Allan Poe is probably best known for his Raven that squawks Nevermore, but he's also one of the first American short story writers and is often credited with being the inventor of detective fiction. In his career, he also contributed heavily to the genre of science fiction. Not only that, but he was also one of the first American writers to earn a living from his writing alone. What's not as well known about the man is that Poe had a somewhat turbulent stint in the military. The trouble began when Poe enrolled in a course at the University of Virginia. His foster father gave him $100, which is $2,000 today, in order to cover living expenses for a year. Any university student today can tell you that the cost of university adds up. The courses, the books, the endless ramen feasts and printing charges. Well, we can't say that Poe had the latter too, but with other college expenses and his gambling habit, he nevertheless quickly fell into debt. In the end, he quit university after a year and moved to Boston. There he tried to survive on odd jobs, but he needed a steady form of income, so he enlisted in the army in 1827. He used the name Edgar Allan Poe and said he was 22 years old, even though he was just 18. Due to the debts he'd accumulated in college, a warrant had been issued for his arrest, and he wasn't keen on making it easy for the authorities to find him. First serving at Fort Independence in Boston, he was eventually moved to Fort Monroe in Virginia. Likely, Poe didn't care where he was as long as he continued to get his $5 per month, which is about $100 today, from the military. At first, it appeared that Poe would excel in the army. He thrived and was promoted to sergeant major for artillery, which was the highest rank achievable by a non-commissioned individual. Still, Poe, he disliked army life. Only 2 years into his 5-year commitment, he explained his situation and asked for an early discharge. Lieutenant Howard, his commanding officer, agreed to allow him to leave the army before his time was up on one condition: he make amends with his foster father, with whom he'd always had a shaky relationship. Poe's foster father wasn't amenable to making amends at first, but a series of unfortunate events resulted in the death of Poe's foster mother and a changing of attitudes between the two men. After finding a replacement to finish his enlisted term, Poe was honorably discharged in 1829. He did not end his military career there, however. Soon after his discharge, Poe enrolled in West Point and matriculated as a cadet in 1830. Just as he had in the army, Poe proved a diligent student, great with math and languages, and well-suited to academy life. Poe's time at the academy was financed by his foster father John, meaning that Poe needed his foster father's permission in order to drop out if he wanted to. Unfortunately, Poe's relationship with his foster father was soon on the rocks again after John married his second wife, Louisa Patterson. Soon after the marriage, Poe learned that John had fathered illegitimate children with another woman, one of whom was 20 years his junior. It led to a row between the two, and Poe received a letter saying that his foster father wanted no further communication with him. An angry Poe sent a letter to his foster father, letting him know about everything that had infuriated him over the years and demanding that he let Poe drop out of West Point. The letter ended with the ominous declaration that if he wasn't allowed to leave gracefully, he'd get himself kicked out. With no response from John, Poe set out to make good on his threat. The prestigious student fell from grace, racking up an impressive 44 offenses and 106 demerits in one term alone, followed by 66 offenses in 1 month in the next term. He was court-martialed and tried at the beginning of February for gross neglect of duty. His various offenses included being absent from class parades, guard mounting, and church parades. He also didn't show up for academic classes and refused to obey officers' orders. There was a rumor that he once turned up to drills in a belt and nothing else, but there's nothing in his official record to corroborate this. Interesting though, as such a stunt would have been, Poe's preferred method of mayhem was simply not showing up at all. Poe was, of course, found guilty of all charges and kicked out of West Point. He then headed off to New York to pursue writing, but not before he'd gotten a little something extra out of the military first. He convinced over 100 cadets to donate money to fund the release of a new volume of poems titled simply Poems. The book, it was dedicated to his fellow cadets. So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button below and don't forget to subscribe. Brand new videos 7 days a week. Also, if you like this one, do check out a book related to this subject. It's called Edgar Allan Poe, Mournful and Never-Ending Remembrance. You can find a link to that on Amazon in the description below. Check it out. I think you'll like it if you enjoyed this video. Also, I'd like to take this moment to thank our patrons on Patreon. If you're interested in supporting us, please do consider heading over to patreon.com/TodayIFoundOut. Loads of great perks lined up for those who support us, and as always, thank you for watching.